What's up, guys? This week we talk about business stress, personal stress, aka my yearly fit of rage, and a little bit of stoicism. Stay tuned.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Straight Shot Post, Straight Shot Studio, Straight Shot brand podcast. As always, this is Dale, CEO of Straight Shot Post and Studios, along with our Chief of Staff, Grace Santos. Grace, how's your week been so far?
It's been all right. Last week was better, personally. I don't know. This week, I feel like last week was a lot of reviews and creative stuff, and it was a lot of fun. This week, I literally spent time on the... Oh my gosh, I spent so much time on the phone with the banks that, like, one morning I woke up with the Capital One, like, customer service music in my head. That's how bad it was. And I was singing it.
You see that Super Bowl commercial where Miles Teller's and this girl? It's a Bud Light commercial. They're just literally, they're dancing to the Hold song.
Oh, that's great. That's great.
Which it's funny because we were looking at Daniel Cloud Campos. He's a breakdancer. We were referencing some of his videos for one of our projects. And he did that same gag, you know. But he was like breakdancing waiting for the Hold music. So
I gotta say, I've experienced, because I call each state has a very different vibe. Like Mississippi's very like laid back country, and then New York is metropolitan music, and then Connecticut and Pennsylvania has fallen in between that, I guess. So
interesting.
Fun fact.
So a lot of finance stuff you had to deal with this week?
Yeah, literally, because we're starting studios, opening up bank accounts, so just little stuff to do, like realizing that you can't ACH from a personal Capital One to a business Chase.
Yeah.
Like that.
What a headache that was. Unnecessary headache.
Yeah.
And a very confusing, considering, most companies are going to start with somebody in like...
I figured out what the thing is that you can wire. I can wire, but it's a $30 fee. So I had to do that for this time because it was time sensitive.
I'm sure you call them up and get the fee waived, I recommend you read this book, I Will Teach You to Be Rich, that I've recommended before, that like basically everything is negotiable. The banks need your business.
Yeah, that's true. That's I think the biggest lesson I've learned just being out of school is like nothing's real, no price is real.
Yeah.
Like anyone complaining at my restaurant will get their whole meal for free. Yeah, that's really changed my life view. It makes me feel more confident in everything.
Yes. Yeah, it's one of those things where you're ignorant to it. You know what I mean? You just like, it's because there's rules.
It's easier not to challenge it.
Exactly.
Like,
Which, I mean, there's a difference of like, hey, don't complain to get a free meal, right? But like,
right.
Try to be respectful. But also, when things like this happen, where they've made it such a pain in the butt. Rent is another one of those kinds of things. Where you think everything is just locked in and you don't realize how much control you might have over the situation. So I feel you there. I think my week was more on the personal side. I'm working through some stuff and how to not let that stop me from being productive. Now, I may not be at my peak, but I certainly need to be performing day to day. I just started Bob Iger, who is the former and current CEO of Disney, his memoir. And the opening of his memoir talks about arguably the most difficult day on the job for him, which is when he was in the middle of opening up Disney Shanghai and the Pulse Club shooting in Orlando happened. And so while he has to it's the biggest thing Disney's ever done as far as the theme parks go. It's a $5 million investment in China. Big deal. Lots of geopolitics involved, and how he's having to navigate going through all of those meetings and smiling and making sure that the people are, all this work isn't affected. Meanwhile, internally, he's struggling with wanting to know what happened, trying to get information, seeing if any of their people are hurt, and he's across the globe, to boot. And one thing he said that I didn't know about this either, because I worked on a project that was loosely inspired by that terrible tragedy, was that 2 years later, he was saying that it would come out, something he found out then that would come out later, which is that the original target was Disney World. That's his, and how that haunted him.
Yeah.
For like years to come. And then, of course, just when you think it can't get worse, it does, because the day after that, the day of the actual opening of the park, where he's supposed to give this big speech and everything as he's dealing with one tragedy, in the middle of giving a VIP tour, he finds out that an alligator, if anyone remembers this, an alligator had taken and killed a small child on their property. The kid was 2. And, you know, Disney's, it's heartbreaking.
I forgot that. Oh, my.
And so he has to then navigate that traumatic situation as a human, as the CEO of Disney, and still perform his duties to open this park. And I don't know, I kind of found it, like, first of all, what an opening to a memoir. Just throwing that out there. I was like, damn, that is just immediately sucks you into recognizing that the reality of this job and his life is going to be much more complex than you thought. I thought I was just putting out a business book. Oh, treat your people well, you know, have clear and defined goals. You know what I mean? Like, wake up at 6 a.m., start the day right, make your bed in the morning or whatever. And yet I found myself last night just not being able to sleep, thinking about what it means for me, you know, relating to that feeling of needing to perform, needing to also find ways to cope and deal with your personal struggles, and this sort of dynamic of the job. You know, when you're at the top, you have to be a leader and you have to be able to perform kind of no matter what the circumstance. Now, this is all within reason. I'm a human being. I have my struggles and stuff too, but it was really just inspiring. And it's only that was just the first little bit of it, right? So yeah, I would sum up my week with like that, you know, going through some personal struggles, trying to perform my tasks daily to keep pushing things forward. In these first few months of the year, I feel like it's very much a discovery phase, and I'm finding that challenging because we're young and it's a hard balance to think long term, when I think part of me has to start thinking more short term just to get us to the long term thinking part. You know what I mean? One of the things that most of the books that I'm reading are about, they're about big companies that had bigger organizations, more minds pushing it forward. Not that there's plenty of incredible takeaways and things I'm pulling from them, but you know, it's the early days where there's 5-10 people. Maybe you expanded faster than you should have. Maybe you invested in the wrong area. Maybe you know, it's too many questions to know at a certain point. I feel like we're in those critical years. These are the make or break years, you know? Yeah. So I really wanted to just take a moment to just sort of shed light on that part of the job that I don't think people talk about, which is the night thinking, I guess, you know?
I feel like I definitely did feed off of the energy, like, because it's been hard. And I mean, I had a fine week, it's fine. But on Wednesday,
were you even here were you here?
I was at home. No, I had a breakdown on Wednesday on my lunch break. I don't even know. I was just one thing that you said, and it set me off, but it was definitely not the thing you said, because that was so insignificant. And I was just and I started crying. And then I feel like this happens once a year, where I get really I cried, but I was angry, and I get so angry that I have the urge to bite something, and it feels so animalistic. And I brought the artifact. I bit a pen.
Oh, you bit a pen. You bit the shit out of a pen. Hey, those are the free pens we got at Comic-Con. Nice.
I know, they are. Yeah, I had a double of this one, so then I was I'll bite this one. But I don't know. It's a thing. Ever since I remember as a kid,
people scream into a pillow or
yeah.
You know, punch stuff. I lift weights. I used to play drums and hit stuff. Your body goes first. As in, if you want to fix your brain, you got to fix your body. Your physiology controls a lot more than you think. So I'm down for that if that's what it takes. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's probably better ways than biting. I can imagine that not going well at times, but you know.
When I Or yeah, when I was a kid, I bit like the coffee table in our living room, and it forever had teeth marks. But like that wasn't good. But no, usually I go to. I mean, my favorite.
I
things
bet more
to do
bad
is,
for
like,
you and your teeth, not like the.
Oh,
You
the
know, the
environment.
pen's emotional state might be in danger, but
Yeah, no, but my normal thing to do is like I go to my dad has like a little studio, and I go in a basement so no one hears me, and I scream there, and then it's just like literally 10
so good.
seconds of screaming gets cure it all. Like
so good.
it's so good, yeah.
I agree.
yeah.
So do you? Because it's funny because today I've been in a bit of a mood, and you're so happy today that it pisses me off, you know. And now I'm like, what happened?
I've grappled with that where it's like I feel happy, but I'm like, should I not be because I know it pisses you off? So should I like temper myself?
Of course
no,
not.
like I mean, I think that like I've lived my life like that. I'm like, oh, if I'm too happy, they're gonna get mad, so I can't be happy. Be quiet.
That is so sad.
Like,
just if hearing that out loud, that is not. I'm not down.
But anyway,
going down the rabbit hole. But no, I mean, I would never want.
yeah.
Like, I'm more just like, I'm okay being angry. I guess I don't know if it pisses me off. It's probably just because I'm envious more than anything else. It's not like I'm actually, you know what I mean?
okay, yeah, okay, that's good. That was a weird place to go.
It's real.
What else this week? I mean, I wanted to say, I didn't share this last week, that we started doing we shot a React video for YouTube.
We're trying new things. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying new things for studios, so for Straight Shot Studios, for our YouTube channel. And one of the things we're doing is Webtoons recaps, and I do the VO for those. And we thought, what if I react to the recap that I'm going to VO? So I watched the recap video that has AI voiceover, and I react to it.
Just
and
to
then later
simplify
on,
it, she's just reacting to somebody telling her the story
recap.
of
Yeah.
Yes, that's the best way to put it. So she's reacting to a video where someone's walking her through the story of this comic, basically.
Yeah. And that was like the most awkward experience, I think, like ever. Because I don't know why I thought you were going to be there, but like when you left, like you set up the room and you're like, okay, bye. And then I was like, I'm just going to be here alone, just like reacting. That's so weird. Like I have no direction. It's just, I felt so, it was just like white. And I was like, okay, I don't know if I have like input on this. I feel like it's just going to be me being like contorting my face. And then there's like pressure to react. So it was really weird. Mad props to YouTubers who do it and make it so entertaining. Like it's underrated skill.
If anyone does watch this podcast, I'm sure they already know Grace has great facial expressions, and so we thought she was the best one to do it. That like no matter what was going to happen, it was going to be entertaining. You know, and but I think the first time you do anything is weird, especially something like that where you're kind of not supposed, because the whole point is like, why would I be there giving you direction? It's supposed to be an authentic reaction.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Where I was like, but I can see how weird that is.
Then there's like pressure to like react, because usually like I'm used to like if it's an acting thing, like like there's like a goal with someone else, or like I don't know, and like I can prepare, but I really can't prepare for this, which is kind of cool, because I was just like, okay. I mean, I guess I could prepare by watching other React videos to see what they comment on, or
usually it's something specific. So, well, I've seen stuff. There's like two kinds. There's one that's usually like, the whole point is like what you did. It's like something I have no idea what it is, but people seem to think it's good or whatever. And
or like an expert.
That would be the other version, right? Is like for example, I like watching React videos of like, vocal coach listens to Linkin Park's, Breaking the Habit or something, or, and then when he screams, they'll pause and be like, oh, the way he's screaming, and like, just to see if like a vocal coach respects it, because it's like what I grew up with, and I think he's got, you know what I mean? It's like there's a song in the opening song of Minutes to Midnight, he like screams for like, it's like a 60-second really powerful thing, and the clip she was watching was him doing it live, which is incredibly impressive. So, and just hearing her thoughts on that song that I loved, you know, was fun, which makes sense. And then there's like, you know, kids listen to Linkin Park for the first time, and then they do the Linkin Park reacts to kids listening to Linkin Park for the first time, and I'm like,
the meta stuff.
What a genius! Just tons and tons of content for that. That's just a crazy thing that happened on YouTube. But we're trying it because if y'all didn't know, reactions is the biggest. I guess
really?
Yes, it is the biggest kind of video on YouTube.
That.
Isn't that weird? So I was like, we might as well see if there's like a white space, because clearly there's a lot of supply, but we're assuming because there's a lot of demand, but we don't see a lot of reacts to Webtoons content. So we're like, maybe we can fit in there. And then we did find some, but it's literally like an hour-long video of somebody reading the comic. And we thought, well, if we just did a video that's a recap of the comic, maybe we can do like a sort of shorter, more punchier version, considering I don't think it would be that entertaining to just watch somebody read, right? A lot of the ones we saw it was a live stream. So you're reading it together and then you're reacting to it with your community together, and then they're just putting that video on YouTube.
Yeah, that's fun.
But it's interesting, you know. And we thought of a new idea we're going to try, because Grace is half Japanese and she speaks Japanese and grew up with manga and anime, but like, I guess the Japanese way, you know, with her mom, that we're going to do sub versus dub and get her reactions to that, which I think would be really fun.
I like commenting on that stuff, because we always talk about like each Japanese word has so many like double meanings. A lot of Japanese words have double meanings. There we go.
So, but I guess to come back to the original theme, it's like, even here, it's like, see, we're in this experimenting phase. Like, none of it's coming out. And that's the thing. So, like, I'm getting anxiety over things not moving. I'm just lacking patience. You know? I'm not seeing dollars rushing in. And I'm like, this is a pain that I feel like I have to get very comfortable with. Because that's the whole point of an investment, right?
Because, like, you remember... like a year ago, like we weren't planning for exactly this. We were planning for more like production company vibe, but that was like in the plans, and we were always just waiting and not doing anything. You were like, I'm impatient, I want to do something, and we're finally there where we're doing something. But I guess like this stage is also hard.
Yeah, and again, you know, to talk about, like, we are doing things. So things we accomplished this week. Well, we have 9 scripts done that we're realizing is going to end up being probably like double as far as chapters go on Webtoons, the platform, because really you're looking at panel count. And so when we're taking a screenplay and we're transferring it, we're realizing our 4 to 5 pages of screenplay is turning out to be like 80 plus panels, because our work is a little bit more intricate. And we're like, wow, that's not feasible. So, you know, it's kind of me just going, am I really ready for this journey that's 2, 3, 4 years now, where we know if the very, very beginning of the story is going to be like 15 episodes, then we're like easily going to be over 100. Probably could reach 200 if it stays in that same cadence. And when you think about putting that out, even if we were able to put it out weekly, what's 200 weeks? You know, it's 4 years-ish, right? So... yeah. And I'm just like, and then it's hard to be like, and then when do you see the benefits of 4 years of work? Maybe never. Maybe at the end.
Maybe never.
Right? Like, and so it's just like having to, I think we maybe spoke about this in the last one. You have to be a little delusional to get there.
Healthy delusion. Yeah.
You have to believe. You have to believe. And it's very hard for somebody like me who is very anti-faith. I'm very anti-faith, you know? But that's kind of what you need, right? You kind of just need to believe.
When I listen to podcasts with successful anyones who are like in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they think back, they're like, I don't know what delusion I was under when I was in my 20s, but like that's what got me here. And so you just got it. They're like, if I were to do the shit that I did back then now, I wouldn't have the balls because I know too much.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's what's happening to me is like trying to contend with like which I think is probably the fear that a lot of people go through in general. There's, I guess, more at stake, people's jobs, things like that. That is, would weigh on me on the day-to-day. I was very thoughtful about deciding to start a company, and yet, I'm still like, I can't believe it. Like, this is what it is. I'm just going through that trough, because we have our good days, When we booked a job for The Last of Us, I was like, but I guess you know what it is, right? Like, losses mean more than wins. When we booked a job for The Last of Us, I'm like, cool, but that's almost baseline. I'm like, we should get that job. It's the other shit that, you know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, totally.
It's like, I'm just like, yeah, we actually had some decent wins. We got a yearly retainer. That's pretty good to have that, Nope, doesn't feel that great to me for whatever reason,
We literally got, in the past 2 weeks, we got like 3 or 4 new gigs, but like.
Hasn't changed. Yeah, I know. It's crazy, right? It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, I'm just like, when is this thing coming out? Why aren't we getting the viewership? It'll spiral, dude. It'll spiral from something macro to like, this is the typical one thing on the Enneagram. We're very detail oriented. So it'll be like, I'll be like, why is she smiling that way?
Oh, totally.
It gets like that, Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. To that little minutia. Today, I literally called up one of our editors. I was very nice and helpful on the line, giving him a really nice tip. But before that, I was like, what is he doing? Why would he do it that way, And it was so small, And he was so, he's really nice. It's all good. This is like, I'm not normally like that, I guess, is what I'm saying. So I know that I'm just like dealing with stuff and need to really make sure and then I get angry at myself. I don't know. I beat myself up, of course. So I'm just like, why am I not figuring this out for me even fast enough, So yeah, it's been one of those weeks.
I get that. I do that of, why are they smiling that way? Why are they breathing that way? Why are they going up the stairs that way? Like, I get very minute with it.
Yeah, you should do the Enneagram.
Well, I think I'm a
9.
9. Yeah, I'm a 9.
You could have a big 4, but 9s are the ones, so it's very much like Myers-Briggs. 9s are the ones that can look like the other ones because they're the mediators. Yeah, so it's just like being an INFJ, right? So
I love it.
Shit. Yeah.
I love being a little ghost.
Yeah. Whenever people like the 3 and the 9 are the two like chameleon types. The 3 is more for like status, and the 9 is more for like, hey, let's keep it chill, everybody.
Yeah.
So like it's funny because when we're working on our sidewalks, on our webtoon, the story is inspired by a true story of when I went to try to save a relationship that I was in. I traveled from New York to New Jersey and ended up getting stuck spending a week with the girl's family. And I made all of them do their personality test too back then also,
Oh my gosh.
So I remember her mom, who is a prominent character in the book, but very fictionalized. Then her mom was a 9. And I would always think about that because someone has in the relationship, usually somebody, right, who's going to compromise for the other. So 9s are usually the ones that's like, I'll make it work for you. That's fine. It's just an interesting dynamic,
Yeah.
So yeah, going off the rails a bit, but lots of story work, doing shot list, getting thumbnails drawn. Like people are working. But, maybe it's just me and the excitement that I have that when I read these scripts with the people here and I'm seeing all the big emotions on their faces and that they're excited and that they're happy. Like there's only really 4 or 5 people who have experienced the story at all. And by the way, it's just the opening. It's literally just been like you haven't even from where we are as far as writing, you've only just met the characters, literally like the ones that matter. So it's interesting, and I think maybe I'm just impatient where I'm like, I just want to see if people, I think I'm just in my head, like, I think this is good, but is it?
Mm-hmm. Wait, we talked about this with Guada this week where we were talking about, like a few podcasts ago, we were talking about like the org chart when we did the org chart and like where each person can go and what position. And we were talking about like usually people, when they join a company, they want to know where the opportunity for movement is. And a lot of us here we're like, no, we don't want that because that would freak us out. We don't want to know where we could end up. So when we were talking with Guada about this, and she said, I know where we're going, but she was saying, like, you know, it's easy to excel in something that you don't care about, and it's scary to, you know, do the thing that you really care about. And
yeah,
because
if you fail, it actually matters, right?
It actually matters. Yeah, and I feel like this is the point where, like, because up to now, I don't know if we've been doing, like, because you've been saying, like, Straight Shot Post is not necessarily your baby. It's just, like, it's your first company, but it's not your baby. And, like, it's always, like, what is your baby? And, like, it feels like Sidewalks is your baby. So
no, I mean, Studios is the baby. Sidewalks is a project there. But, like, I guess, yes, to your point, it's like, I truly believe that I am a very strong storyteller, that I'm on the road to mastery. This is my obsession. This is like, you know, it's like, this is my life's work, is getting good at this craft. And like, but now it's like, well, bro, time to like put up or shut up. Like, if the thing comes out and everybody hates it and it sucks, like, I'm going to be like, oh my God, what have I just been delusional the whole time, thinking that I was good at this thing? And I want to be good at it. You know what I mean? And I get it. It's like the you know, people still might not like it. Doesn't mean I'm not good at it, blah, 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 blah. But it's like, there is that anxiety of like, and then you get excited when like Guada has her faces, or even our producer Heather, who, we just have very expressive people at the company, I guess. So like, you know, when they're reading this stuff, the three of you and Heather and Guada definitely make faces. Francisco's chill. Brian's chill. Elise is chill. And Heather's chill. But the studio team has...
Heather's chill. Oh, Brittany's chill.
Everybody's chill, but like, you know when Heather doesn't like something. You know when Heather likes something. You know? Like, so. That's what I mean. So like, with you guys, it's a great audience to have. And I'm just like, I don't know if it's accurate or not, you know? It's just scary, that's all, right? But I do.
And talk about the flywheel. I feel like this falls into that.
Well, what she's referencing is, like, I was talking to her this week. I've been trying to put into practice some of the things that I'm reading in these great business books. And so one of the core practices or one of the big takeaways that I had from Good to Great, which I think is super helpful, is the concept of who first, then what. And essentially, they're saying that in any of these companies' transitions, they didn't try to come up with the plan for how to save or make the company great first. Instead, they brought the right people, and sort of the rest is history. I mean, even in the order that it goes, it's people first. And so like the first big chapter is about level 5 leadership, and it's like something I'm aspiring to be. But basically, every one of these companies that went from good to great had what they call a level 5 leader, you know? And so it stems from the top down. And then that level 5 leader brought in a bunch of incredible people who were going to push the company forward. And then those people, along with that leader, then decided on, and I forget what they call it, but essentially you're looking for like a singular path forward. So, and they have this like Venn diagram, which is, what can you be the best at in the world that you guys are also incredibly passionate about, and that actually has good economic driver behind it. So I think the example you said was Walmart becoming the most convenient store on the planet. And they were passionate about doing that, and they were focused on increasing their profit per customer. Or was it profit per store? I think it's profit per customer over profit per store or anything else. And that they literally closed down stores and opened stores and bought overpriced, quote unquote, real estate for their stores in order to achieve that goal. And like, then Walmart became the Walmart, I think, that we know, basically. Okay, so I'm dumbing it down, and if I get it wrong, I'm sorry, but that's the basics of that story, where it's just like, and in that order is how it's done, essentially. And so now I'm trying to keep that in mind. So like, I'm hoping that I've built, at least with the resources I have now, a team that can help do this. And I think this week, with Snapchat in particular, one of our departments, I really exercise that belief where from the top down, I want to make a systemic change to the way we make our videos, but have enabled the leaders of that team to figure out how to do that. Where normally I'd be all up in that shit. Okay. So I think this is like hopefully me trying to put these things into practice. Like, no, I picked these guys for a reason because they're capable. They can figure this out. And so those were some of the big things that have really stuck with me. Where I'm stuck now with studios is really trying to make sure there's a good economic driver. Because I definitely think I believe we can be the best in the world at making web comics and visual storytelling in that medium. And for sure, we're passionate about telling stories in that medium. But what's the economic driver there that we can kind of really focus on and go all in on? And I haven't really figured that one out yet. And so, I think I have probably some anxiety about that. But yeah, kind of all tied together in an interesting week of thought. Are you not entertained?
It was a big week. Yeah.
I mean, we'll see how it goes. I think one of the coolest parts about this podcast is like, I'm expressing my feelings outwardly, almost like as a journal entry, knowing that I'm not going to stop. I guess there's that, right? So it doesn't really matter how I feel, so long as I don't stop performing and keep doing the thing over time. So that's kind of what I think will hopefully be fun, whether it works or it doesn't work. And that's kind of where I'm trying to get to, like, emotionally as a stoic. Like, at the end of the day, I can only control, to the best of my ability, the skill of telling a good story and putting it onto paper and, focusing on marketing it. But I can't really control the audience anyway. So, like, I think I'm just like any other artist, like, nervous about how people are going to feel about the work, hoping that they like it. But really, I have to remember, like, our own mantras of, like, just keep believing, keep doing good work. And then if you keep doing it long enough, and good enough, things will happen.
Are those your mantras?
Basically, my mantra is, control what you can, which is very much, that's a stoic mantra, right? Basically. So that's what I'm trying to stay focused on. But this has been a particularly, like, emotional week in that, trying to get my mojo back, So yeah, we'll see.
I wanted to say one thing before we before we leave. This is totally random. But last week for my birthday, I went to Peter Luger for steak. Nice. And I used the hack and it worked.
So you ordered
steakhouse.
Was it busy?
So like it was busy, and then my dad's girlfriend, it's me, my dad, and my dad's girlfriend. The girlfriend wanted medium rare, but my dad likes medium. And I was like, for sure, if we order medium, like, I feel like they'll both find pieces in the steak
that they like.
There's a huge one. It was for 3 that they like. And then the girlfriend was like, oh, I don't like medium. But then we ordered it, and lo and behold, it was pretty medium rare. So, yeah, even at a
also,
steak,
that's
I was
a big
I
cut,
doubted
though.
it, though.
But it's
I
a big
doubted,
cut,
yeah.
Yeah.
But I doubted it. I was like, it's a steakhouse. They have to get it right. But no.
So did I when I went to that place on Lorimer.
Yeah.
I was like, we're here. But
no.
Maybe it's actually a steakhouse thing, where they're, like, so afraid to overcook it.
Maybe. Well, but it's not well, I learned it at a non-steakhouse.
Or maybe it's just hard.
Maybe it is hard.
Yeah,
to get it right.
Because they're making a bunch of steaks. It's intuitive. They're not timing it probably.
Yeah.
So, all right. Either way, did you enjoy the meal?
It was wonderful. We ordered. Oh God! Appetizer was a strip of bacon, like a thick strip of bacon.
Oh, interesting.
And then the entree was, it was like bread, bacon, and steak, which was very heavy, but then there was broccoli, so that was nice. But yeah, it was wonderful. And then on Sunday, I went to my restaurant that I work at. Oh my God, my restaurant!
You mean for fun?
For fun with my friend. Well, yeah, my friend was coming to the city from my childhood friend. And we literally ordered a cocktail each and just like 2 appetizers. And then they brought out, extra drinks, extra food, extra dessert, all this stuff, but it was only $20. So it was nice.
Damn. But you did the right thing with the tip this time though, right?
Oh, of course. I gave a 50% tip or something, like tipped on what it would have been if I had paid for all the food. And then we
Nice.
went to a comedy club. So that was my birthday. So it was fun. Yeah.
Good. That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and take over and since you're here and hit us with the life hack, since I know you have one this week.
Oh my God, the life hack of the week. So our assistant editor taught me this one this week. I was making soup for Galentine's Day with Sophie. Shout out Sophie. And she sent me a link for the New York Times cooking page, but I don't have the subscription. So I think, yeah, we were on the Good Morning meeting, and then, like, I was trying to access the link, and then I, like, made a face, and Myra was like, "Are you okay, Grace?" And I'm like, "Literally, I'm fine. I'm just trying to get a soup recipe." And then she was like, "Oh, I got you." So the hack is, when you're on Chrome, you click on the 3 dots on the right, you click More Tools, click Developer Tools, click the gear icon, scroll all the way down, click Disable JavaScript, and refresh the page, and you can read it. The pictures will disappear, but you can read the content. That's the hack.
Huh. So that gets you around having to subscribe?
Yeah, and that's what she's been doing for sourcing for, I think.
The
Or
things,
she said that
the
that's
things
just
people
been-
will do for free stuff, I guess.
Yeah. It's
Oh,
awesome.
man. All right.
So,
well, thank you for the
yeah.
probably illegal tip, is my guess. So for those of you who use it, if you get in trouble, do not blame us.
Ooh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, no, I could tell, but it's okay. It is a beautiful hack. But yeah, very interesting. And an actual one. I bet they're gonna change that. You know, it's probably just a
Yeah,
bug
probably.
or something. So take advantage of it while you can. Questions. What is your favorite area of New York City? And I'll open it up to like the boroughs.
I'm not cultured. I feel like I'm not cultured enough to be like, this spot.
I mean,
I guess-
you went to school in the Village, basically. You live in the Upper
my parents
East,
live in, and my parents live in 2 different
Upper
parts of the
West.
city. But
Maybe the Lower East is the only area you haven't hung out in, which is my favorite
think-
area.
I'll say I don't really go there, but I've had the best, most peaceful time in Fort Tryon Park. I like that area.
Where the hell is that?
That is in the Heights, in Washington Heights.
Wow.
It's like West 192nd Street. Like there, you take the A all the way uptown.
That's crazy. I've never been up there.
Yeah, my mom lives there. She lives on. It's funny, in the Heights they sing about that. They're like, "I've never been north of 96th Street, but you must take the A train even farther than Harlem to northern Manhattan and maintain." I'm just quoting the song, but like that's what it is. Get off at 181st and take the escalator. So that's where my mom lives. Anyway, but yeah, that park is. I don't know about now. Like everyone's always like, "Oh no," because the Heights, the show and the movie, it's gonna get gentrified and people are gonna visit. But like, that park is like overlooking the water, the Hudson River in New Jersey, and it has like a beautiful sunset. And there are like no tourists, a lot of flowers. It's gorgeous. I love it there. It's peaceful. I
dig
spent
it.
the pandemic. I would walk there every day. It's so nice.
I dig it. I think recently I've had a big appreciation for Williamsburg because I never really hung out here. I live here now.
Williamsburg is dope.
It's very cool. And yeah, and then I mean, I know a lot of places outside of the city that I like. Like I like going out to East Long Island and stuff like that. But interesting.
Yeah.
Good answer.
Yeah. I think I ran out. My cards. I have one left. That's like a big question. What do you love about your life?
Oh my god.
I know.
Why would you ask that on a week where I love nothing about my life too? Like literally, this is just
practicing gratitude.
this is a week of me wanting to hate everything. Why can't I just hate everything for a little while? Jesus.
You can hate it after this.
What do I love about my life? I mean, look, if you really want to boil it down,
Boil it.
I mean, pretty much everything, you know? I'm
not
happy to be alive. Yeah, I know. Like, genuinely, though, if you really think about it, it's amazing to be alive. I love, even though it's not easy and I kind of hate it when I'm doing it, but like, I love that I work out. 5 to 6 times a week, heavy strength training. Brings me peace in my life. I love that despite how I feel about it on the day-to-day, I'm trying to do something that I believe in with my whole heart and soul. And I think that's
awesome.
And I love the fact that I was born into an incredible environment that includes my family and good friends and good education in New York City. So I think it's like very, very lucky. I think the only thing I don't actually love is like probably just my living situation. Just because I probably don't get enough sunlight. It's probably that's like, yeah. But I'm doing it because, it's the best thing for the company.
Do you take vitamin D?
I take a one a day. I actually have it right next to me.
Oh.
It includes a little bit of everything. Oh, I like the way I think. That's something that I've grown to appreciate. I think one of the benefits of having a rare personality is like the varied perspectives in the room. So I'm just glad that like when we're working as a team, that the way that I think allows me to maybe bring something else to the table. Like I feel, like a useful thing. Felt kind of like a weird answer, but yeah.
Cool.
And that does it, doesn't it?
It does.
So yeah. Anything you want to say to the people, Grace?
Keep changing.
Exactly. With that said, everybody, work hard, be nice, and as always, keep changing. Thank you so much for watching. We'll catch you on the next one.